So the idea is that this is the mahi part, this is the work, but it's about fun. So what's really cool is that all of you have given your own time to come and contribute to the future, and it's about your thoughts, your ideas, what you think should happen. It goes a bit like this. If it's not written down, it didn't happen. So given you've gone to the trouble of sharing, get it down on the bits of paper that you've got in front of you.
Can't get away from the beach.
Yeah, when I think about flavour, I think surf.
I think sunshine.
Well, part of it has to be the ocean environment.
So what would the elements of our ocean environment be?
Sea and the rivers.
When you're coming to Gisborne from the Wharedatas, you stop at the lookout there, and what do you see? You see a beautiful bay, and you see Gisborne and the surrounds. So our two themes really focus on the ocean environment and the land environment. The ocean environment actually can be viewed and utilised and seen from a waka we've identified. That is the clean water, the history of the place, the tourism, economic development, the uniqueness of the first meeting place of Māori and Pākehā, and remembering, restoring historical sites, all of those sorts of touchstones of our history, of where we are today, and what we can share with others. The lighthouses, the coach roads, a lot of these places that you can't get to by land now, you can still get to by water. In terms of the food and wine industry, that's really the land-based stuff that we focused on. It actually encourages and recognises the tourism potential here, the citrus potential that we have here in the existing, forestry, the climate, fishing, hunting, land and sea-based activities, and the fact that Manuka is a very strong player here in this district too. So it's all of those sorts of elements that we don't think about every day, but they're very much a part of who we are and what we are here. Good.
So our theme is for the camera, making our cultural sites, I guess if we could start with what are the sites that we recognise as being important to us? I guess just to get the ball rolling, perhaps the Cooks Landing site, we recognise that.
I mean, the stonework and stuff is beautiful. Okay, but there needs to be other things on there.
There was that farm at Matawa there was ox there as well, wasn't there? He had the bullock tank. Just out of just based trade hill there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but the bridge that needs to be changed.
That's it. It's 2 lanes.
That's really nice.
Some cart wheels.
Oh, just the bigness of it, because the stories are good. A lot of people just don't want to sit there and read the stories, but what's going to pull them in?
Yeah. Particularly the scale.
When we get out there along here, they talked about the walkway that comes, the memory, the stories about Te Kuri o Pawa. Do you guys actually know what that is all about? The issue is this: is that the river there, right out there, used to have a big rock there. When the Navy come in their earnest, they blew the rocks. You got Tuamotu out there. There used to be 1, 2, maybe three those little islands all the way into the bay. Did you guys know that? They blew them up so the ships could come in and do the turning and that's the straight link out. Those are gone. One out here they call Te Toka Taio, which is the rock of Taio. Taio being an ancestor of ours, was the meeting place or the division of all the Ngāti Porou tribes and all the tribes on this side. It was blown out of the water. Imagine what happens in Scotland. You go in there, and the most northern sort of place there, they kiss the Nani stone. So why couldn't we recreate that here?
Well, if you want to bring the next, the younger generation along with these ideas, you have to use technology.
Oh, what about
That's what they're into.
like the other day I bought a projector this size, right? It's only this thing. You go, it does that. We could actually have our spaces
in Gisborne on blank walls that actually project colours and stories and things constantly all night. And people, it serves purposes of telling stories but also lights up the place. Because you've got to put a lamp anyway. You're going to use a lamp anyway. Hey.
So the highlights are certainly storytelling through experience. So we collectively thought about cultural places not just being specific sites necessarily, but actually stories about, we talked about geo stories, so stories that the earth has told us. So through geological times and incidents. So that came through very clearly, and I'll give you one really exciting example. We talked about maybe having 7 or 8 sites around Gisborne to use with sort of USB ports and projections, and audio, so that anyone could use them at certain times. So we've actually got a changing public artscape happening around the place, so that actually anyone can render their own stories about what's important about this place and make that public.
That's really cool.
That was a cool idea, eh?
I mean, it's not an uncommon thing to have in Europe, where you've got pedestrians, cyclists and cars all on the same street at the same time, because they have an understanding of each other.
Maybe if you had one side for cars and one side for pedestrians.
Yeah, it could do.
Yeah, but by green spaces, are you meaning garden type stuff?
A recreational area, like an open space in the CBD. But that's different to a shared space. That's more vehicular, I would have thought. Yeah. Yep. Somewhere where you can stop and have your lunch, listen to some busking. Welcome to Warriors.
Why isn't that being used? It's not now. Trevor Court needs to be revitalised.
Oh, fresco type stuff. Fresco. Better opportunity to shop, because it's a more relaxed environment.
Parking, shared space with walkways. Ban the drugs. Cycle hire, credit card, bond. Cars are pedestrian friendly, but totally pedestrian and cycle friendly.
If people can put proposals together and actually own those little things, because it's like if you go to New Plymouth, for instance, they've got sheds of rowboats, which are the old sealers boats, which would take about 12 to 15, 14 people in them. Like we have a museum here as well.
Yeah, the Toka Taio that goes out here.
Yes, and the Star of Canada, there's got one swinging off there. So if we got those sort of things there, utilise that sort of history as well. Yep. There's a lot of other things like that.
I was just walking around the court, or not that sort of walkway around by the harbour there, and I saw these fancy motels, and I thought, shit, how much would they value actually having a really nice, clean waterway next to their promote it.
Well, there's the biodiversity values in having clean waterways too, in terms of freshwater fauna and other wildlife, so there's biodiversity values too.
So where does that come in under this?
Education. That's most probably in there.
You want to say education?
As an activity?
We see these guys, the councillor, there's a group, it's not with council, they are wanting to put a weir on that river so they can turn it into all sports.
Flat water
thing. It's a big thing in Europe.
The main one is obviously our flat water facility, which is I think maybe already in the 10-year plan, I'm not sure. But that will give us so many opportunities for so many different sports. Waka ama, which is huge in Gisborne, rowing, paddling, triathlon, just to name a few. For our beaches, we think private enterprise with small ventures like rowboats, places where kids can go fishing, like little platforms and things out there, and based around the cruise ships coming in, there could be a lot of things there, but mainly for private operators. Oh, and the other big thing, on Tuamotu Island, have a massive complex a big restaurant with a luge that goes from Kaiti Hill to Sponge Bay, over the wetlands, and then on to Tuamotu, where you have your dinner.
The navigations project is ignoring that. It's only concentrating largely on static displays on the land.
It'll evolve.
Yeah.
I reckon, you know, from that, once the
There's
walk
got to
gets
be a
going,
It's a man lover's vision.
it'll evolve though.
When you started
But
you started
I was going to
talking
say about all our parks and reserves as well. Part of the navigation, we've got to utilise our heritage and the history and depict some stories to make our parks a bit more, give them some cultural diversity. You know, when it comes to reserves, when you're talking with Titirangi Kaiti Hill, that's a different type of reserve. But you know, we've got to utilise the biodiversity on that big time.
And my thing about consultation is don't think that you all know what other people want. That's the thing. And if you don't give them what they want and fits in with that community, then they're not going to use it. And you can see that all over our parks.
I think it's just the guy hit it on the head. You know, the use of the parks nowadays are not the same as before. You know, people aren't. There's not the team sports around that utilising the park space that we've got. So we've got to try and use them for a community and design pathways and trees and seating and environmental things. You know, to make it as biodiverse
Like
as possible.
butterfly gardens.
Community garden.
Yeah. Tauranga. Just beautiful.
I mean, it's an old UK thing, isn't it, where you have the community gardens?
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Like a growing garden, probably.
Yeah, growing gardens where people, they rent their spot.
Gotcha, right.
Yeah. But,
Allotments.
Allotment. Yeah, just like allotment.
More functional, more adventure functions, more sort of risky functions rather than being too PC. So the good old-fashioned flying foxes, those sorts of things. Bring back some of the, the craziness. But in that, then we've also written safety.
Well, we're here, we played on flying fox, so we must have been safe.
but functionality that encourages all the family. So we've started getting towards things like barbecues on the beaches, those sorts of things, and in parks as well.
Tell us where we are. A jandal seat, a surfboard seat.
We've got our navigation project, and we have to tie most of our stuff, our public art, or a lot of it, into a theme. Yeah. So we've got to create a journey around that.
Yeah, everything has to go back to a central. It has to have meaning. It has to have a DNA.
Certain ones like
Sculpture Park was way back in 1999. Remember the Sculpture Park concept?
Yeah.
Europe put a lot of time and effort into that.
But I mean,
and that was going to be out at the river
We've got
mouth.
to try and utilise and tell it as much as we can.
But you could have fun things.
Oh yeah.
Funny, funky things.
Yeah, because there's, isn't it? So what's the interpretation of that?
Very funny, funky.
Well, it started the beginnings of one just over there at Hey Pippi.
Yeah.
It's 24 years ago.
And I've seen people get off those cruise boats and congregate around the street.
And that was the beginning of Sculpture Park.
Dog bar.
Roundabouts, boring roundabout. You can turn a boring roundabout into something. I mean, even if you had a grapevine in the middle of a roundabout, with grapes on it. I mean, simple little things that don't cost a lot of money you can do just to enhance a public space.
There's a lot of talk about the roundabouts as you come from Napier, the big roundabout, if you turn right, to do something funky there. That say, hello, welcome to Gisborne.
Exactly. I mean, we planted trees and mow it actually, just incidentally.
We aren't good at mowing.
No, we're not going to mow anymore.
We can't just plant public art around town without any connection.
No, it's got to have a theme. It's got to be some continuity.
It's got to have flow. It's got to have story.
It needs to be tied to who we are.
Identity, it's brand,
which is the essence of branding, isn't it? Yeah.
Navigation.
When you naturally think about heritage and about water and of our animals, I mean, how lovely if someone built paper mache or something, I don't know, of our beautiful animals around. Flora and fauna, I mean, surely that can be done with bits and pieces.
when you talk about heritage, I mean, your heritage can be anything. I mean, it's not only the historical stuff before pre-Europeans, but it's after that. I mean, and in all the nationalities, there's a variety of stuff, really. So,
First thing was art at roundabouts, so sculptural art at roundabouts, which evidently aren't distractions. They actually sharpen your mind, and you don't run over the cyclists at 40 k's, you run them over at 30 k's. And the other absolutely brilliant idea, because it's mine, is some outrageously large, massive, iconic sculpture that goes on the slipway. Something 10, 20, 30 metres high that everyone will hate, and it will be our Sydney Opera House in 20 years' time. People will look back on us and go, that's fantastic. It's in every photo about Gisborne, and people see that photo and they go, that's Gisborne, New Zealand, and in the background is Young Nick's head.